for-profit ventures, one is for women entrepreneurs, another pillar is for student entrepreneurs, especially focusing on R&D, product, and deep tech entrepreneurs who come from the colleges across the country. And one pillar is for social ventures. So in for-profit ventures, we have ventures from ideation to growth across all business and tech verticals. We have vertical specific cohorts like mobility, which is supported by Maruti. We have sustainability, which is supported by we have social, which is supported by Capgemini. We have healthcare. We've got consumer brands, which is supported by ICICI Securities. Similarly, when we come to our second and very important pillar, which is the women entrepreneurship pillar, we have two flagship programs in women entrepreneurship. One is the Women Startup Program, recently concluded with Women Startup Program Cohort 3. The Cohort 4 is in pipeline, which will be starting in the near future. Another program which is supported by Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Women Program. So this program is specific to those women entrepreneurs who have crossed all levels of MVP and looking forward for scale. Basically, it's a scale-up program. We have a specific program for student entrepreneurs or just out of engineering colleges, which NSR Cell helps the students to ideate their, their ideas from the drawing board, take them through the journey of idea to POC, maybe from POC to MVP. So it's a constant interactive program for the students. And the last one is for-profit. The last one is social ventures. So in the social ventures, we have three types of programs. One is social entrepreneurship, rural agri entrepreneurship, and circular economy, which is in the pipeline and which will be kickstarted soon. So we have two major ways to do this. Entrepreneurs reach out to us. They can, early stage entrepreneurs can start off with the launchpad and mentoring, which is a 3-month, 90 days continuous, rigorous program, structured program. Entrepreneurs who are little seasoned and doesn't want launchpad, they can always apply for the incubation program, which is loosely structured, which can go up to 6 to 18 months. So the incubation is for someone who has a little bit of revenue, identified their initial customer, got some paying customer, and looking forward for scale up. Well, these are our success stories. I hope most of them would get to know by the logos. So we've helped Just Books, Go Desi, Taxi, Highway Delight, Zujubi, Milap. So we do incubate ventures from various business and tech verticals. It could be for-profit, non-for-profit, social, deep tech, AI, ML. So we do not have a boundary for any venture, right? So we are not a tech specific venture. We are a business incubation center. So we incubate businesses and we induct founders and co-founders. So some of our ventures have been acquired by good companies, big companies like Qualcomm, Brillo, Freshworks, Spotfix, and Quantum. Some of our founders are a part of the Shark Tank, the first episode of Shark Tank India. The first participant is NSR Cell Venture. Some of our ventures also applied for the Atmanirbhar Innovation Challenge, and they have won this challenge. So what sets us apart from other incubation centers? We have a structured program. We have the interventions of IIM Bangalore faculty coming into it. We have curated mentors and we have program advisors. Mentorship is our flagship aspect inside the incubation center. So we do have close to 50 mentors across all business and tech areas. Most of them are being previous founders, sold off their companies. Some of them have a good career in their corporate but want to mentor in the areas of initial customer profile, sales, marketing, digital marketing, and so on. We've got good ecosystem enablement, and we have an amazing startup kit. So all the listeners can go ahead and look our startup kit. We've got Freshwork, Canva, HubSpot, to name a few. And amazing funding ecosystem. We give access to angel investors, independent investors, VC community, impact investors, and CSR funds. Of course, government grants are always available for those ventures who are incubated with us. So how do we go about things? So we first thing is the foundation. So the first principle comes in business model, setting the milestones, compliance agreement, identifying customers. This all is covered in the 90-day structured launchpad or the mentorship program. Slowly, once a venture completes with their program, they would be allowed to pitch for incubation. And if they are incubation ready, we will help them to incubate, give them the startup kit. And with respect to their domains, we will put them into the respective cohorts. Well, our funding and program partners, of course, Government of India, Department of Science and Technology, Startup India, Niti Aayog, and AIM are the first partners who have helped and supported to come along uh, in this journey. Maruti Suzuki, we do have a separate cohort for mobility in partnership with Maruti Suzuki. Women Entrepreneur, Scale Up Women Entrepreneurship Program by Goldman Sachs. ICICI Securities. Recently, we concluded the FinTech program. We are on the consumer brand program, which is supported by ICICI Securities. So these are our funding and program partners, to name a few. So we will be looking forward for NSRCL 3.0. So we look forward to motivate 10,000 entrepreneurs, 10,000 aspirants to take up entrepreneurship as a career and stick to their venture for 3 years. We look forward for touching 1 million lives in the next 5 years. So we'll also look forward to impact the growth and scale. So we are looking forward to deliver 1 billion in incremental revenue from our ventures in the next 3 years. Well, that's about me. And any questions with respect to NSRCL, Launchpad, incubation, or mentorship, if you would like to connect with us, you can write to us anytime. Reach out to us on social media. We'll get back to you if you would like to take up Launchpad, mentorship, or incubation. Or if you are a grown-up startup, you want to contribute to our startup kit, you can also reach out to us. Please do follow our social media pages and reach out to us using the contact given in the website. So that was my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abrar. That was a great talk about NSRCL. So I hope all the participants got what is NSRCL, what is it doing, and how it is helping startup ecosystem or startup community. So you're doing actually great job. Your number speaks for yourself. So yeah, thank you for the introduction about NSRCL. And now let me introduce our event. So let me share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible now? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello. Yes. Okay. Now, today our event is on SaaS sales for startups. And this program is supported by IIM Bangalore, NSRCL, and Niti Aayog. So these are our hashtag and hashtags which we use in our social media. So please, if you want to post your presence at in this event with the help of NSRCL hashtags, please use these hashtags. Next. So this is a main important point. So this is the agenda of the event. So right now we are having we had introduction from Abrar, and next we have a session with Ashwin Krishna from 3:10 to 3:20, 3:30. Sorry, and next we have a session from Sandeep on SaaS sales 101 from 3:30 to 3:45. And next we have a session from Siddharth on building SaaS sales engine from $0 to $10 million ARR. Okay, from 3:45 to 4 p.m. And next at last, we have Q&A session from 4 to 4:30. So in this Q&A session, you can ask speakers about your doubts and questions regarding the sales background. So, and I have a quick announcement for the speakers and the participants. So, this is an housekeeping announcement. So, we are hosting this webinar on Zoom platform. So, all the mics will be muted by default. So, if you want to speak anything, um, you can choose the raise in hand option so that I may know that you want to speak or ask any question. And please use the chat window for interacting with the speakers or the participants. And the last request would be, if you have any question, please use the question and answers window. So then if you post in the chat window, we can't track people the chat now. So please post in the question and answers window so that we can find the questions very easily. And so the speakers can also answer your questions very quickly and simply. And please limit your questions for one question per participant. So we have 70 plus participants for now. So it will be a mess if you have too many questions. I request everyone to limit one question per person. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So these are our speakers, and the first speaker is Ashwin Krishna, who is a director of marketing at tact.ai. He has a almost 15 years of experience in the sales background. So he's a regular speaker on B2B or SaaS marketing, and he has co-authorized his e-commerce sense, a handbook on omni-channel commerce for consumer brand. And next we have so our second speaker is Sandeep Medishetty, who is a sales leader, author, and angel investor. So Sandeep is a 2x sales entrepreneur, sales leader, and author. His startups were backed by 500 startups and OPECA to help the sales community. In 2001, he started a value sales SDR academy and ran 3 cohorts that helped SDR build a pipeline of 10,000 100K dollars in less than 3 months. He also authored a book guide to selling SaaS and a newsletter. So Sandeep has a newsletter which is CISA Mint that helped many people break into tech sales. So he's actually working as a consultant and advisor for the SaaS community. And we have a third speaker who is Siddharth Ahuwalia. So Siddharth is venture capital development, business development manager at AWS, Amazon Web Services. So Siddharth is a 2x entrepreneur, and before that he used to work in Shiro's company. So in 2021, he exited from that company and working as a venture capitalist with Prime Ventures. So he is an investor in 31 SaaS startups via 10 100x Entrepreneur Fund, and also the host of 100x Entrepreneur podcast. So he's right now he's almost investing in 31 SaaS startups. Okay. And next we have upcoming events. So our next event from NSRCL will be Startup Jam on Thursday, Startup Jam Fashion Tech on Thursday, March 24. And these are our volunteers. So I thank these volunteers for making this event possible. And these are our social media handles of NSRCL. So you can see the Facebook, LinkedIn, and NSRCL in Twitter and NSRCL Instagram. Please follow these for what are the programs NSRCL is conducting. You can just have idea. So if you have any idea, yeah, please write to ideas@nsrcl.org. So we have a team there. They're working with ideas. So if they like your idea, they'll be inviting you to the IIM campus and connecting with the appropriate people who will be helping you with that idea. And please visit www.nsrcl.org. So you can just know what all the programs NSRCL is organizing for the startup community. So as I already mentioned the housekeeping part, so these are the speakers. Please put your hands together for these are speakers. So now I'd like to hand over the session to Ashwin Krishna. So Ashwin, are you there? Hello.
Yes,
please take over the session.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time. First of all, I'd like to extend thank you to Manohar, Abrar, and all the amazing volunteers at NSRCL because I think being a volunteer, you're not doing a full-time job, right? Essentially, lending your time for the betterment of someone else actually, who are primarily entrepreneurs. So before we get started, would like to sort of have a quick show of hands. If you're a founder or a co-founder, just type founder in the comments box. If you want to start, just type future founder. If you are, let's say, a student, just type student. Just it'll be good to know each other, right? Wow, it's amazing to know a lot of founders actually. Yeah, keep the comments coming. Yeah, I have huge respect for founders because I sort of moonlighted in a startup. Moonlighted in a startup. I started something way back in 2008, where we basically had set up a homestay portal similar to Airbnb, but we didn't know that idea could have been such a big one, right? Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't really took that forward actually. All right, let me quickly share my screen and please let me know. Okay, great. Manohar, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Go ahead.
All right, everyone. All right. Yeah. Sure. So what can you expect in the next 15 odd minutes? So what I'm going to sort of talk about is some of the practical growth hacking examples and framework for founders, right? Because when you're starting up, you will essentially not have a marketing team, you will not have fancy budgets, you will not have, most importantly, time, right? So I'm going to sort of talk about some practical examples which has worked for me and in my company, which you can also sort of extend it, right? Extend into. So very quickly talking about who I am. So I'm a marketer by choice. I have roughly about 15 plus years in the world of B2B marketing and SaaS. I started in the world of SaaS way back in 2011, 12, I would say, when people used to ask, okay, what is SaaS? Can you give the software on a CD? That was there when I started. So I was part of Capillary, where I grew the whole company almost 15 times, generated double-digit million-dollar pipeline over a period of five plus years. I was part of 3 acquisitions. I was also part of the entire journey where where the marketing team grew from 1, which is myself, to about 20 plus folks actually. I'm right now work with Tag.ai, which is a CRM product company funded by all the top 3 cloud providers in the world, which is Microsoft, Amazon, and Salesforce. And I can say that it's possibly a special thing. Yeah, let's get started with what is growth hacking. I mean, fundamentally, growth hacking is nothing but growth, right? So the word growth hacking has the word growth, which is fundamentally, it's a process or a way where you can build repeatable and scalable growth with an optimal time and investment. Because end of the day, with so much of funding in the market, I think what also investors are looking for is the same thing, right? Repeatable and scalable growth model. Let's say, can you grow your company, let's say 3x in the first 3 years and 2x in the following 2 years, right? They call that as a 3x 2x model. 3 years, grow 3x, and then for the next consecutive 2 years, grow by 2x. There are various models around, but the whole idea of growth hacking is really about use limited time, limited money, and get the maximum, right? Fundamentally, I think the 3 fundamental pillars for implementing growth hacking, right, successfully. I think number 1 is mindset. Mindset is all about because you're trying to experiment, you're trying to try. So you should be ready to fail actually. Right? It's absolutely okay to fail, but most important to do is experiment and very quickly learn, iterate, and then sort of figure out, let's say, if you're doing 3 experiments, which experiment worked great, sort of pour more time and money and everything else for that one experiment, sort of grow that, right? After some time, sort of introduce, let's say, a couple of more experiments, try and figure out, which one among the folks in the cohort work, and sort of pick the winning one and sort of move on, right? So number one is really the mindset. I think as an entrepreneur, you're always sort of very, very nimble and then sort of ready to accept the failure and then sort of move on. But I think that's why growth hacking for founders is sort of part of the DNA, right? Growth hacking as a mindset. So number two is process actually, right? So you can think of, let's say, doing a PR, let's say press release or doing a media sort of blitz for your brand. The whole idea is, how can you build a process where you can not just do one press release without spending money. I'll talk about that just a few minutes. But it's also about how can you sort of build a process, a methodical process you can continuously scale it actually. It's not just a one-time success, but it's a repeatable actually. And the heart of growth hacking is fundamentally, tools and technology, right? There are so many automation tools out there, all the way from email automation to process automation. If you can start marrying the tools in the right way, you can save a hell lot of time, right? Be it in terms of personalization, be it in terms of, let's say, connecting various channels, all of that is possible using the right tools actually. I'll also sort of try and talk about a few tools which might be helpful. All right, so number one, right? Growth hack number one. The number one growth hack is you, right? The founders actually. Because when you're starting, you don't have anything else except you, right? You and the idea, basically. So a lot of the folks talk about, start doing marketing after the product is ready. But the reality is you should start doing marketing before the product is ready or before the first line of code is written. I'm not saying that you should go and talk about your product when it is not ready, but you should talk about stuff which matters for your audience, right? Let's say you are into real estate tech, right? Let's say property tech, and your buyers are, let's say, builders. So go and talk about what are the challenges of builders, right? So what are the challenges of builders in terms of technology? What are the challenges of builders? Let's say when it comes to managing cash flow, managing money, because let's say the last 2 years especially hasn't been great, let's say for builders, right? So focus on your audience, figure out their challenges, and then really talk about things which matter to them. Everything around their pain points. Most importantly, the set of pain points which you are going to solve, right? Let's say you're building an ERP for real estate builder. Then talk about the planning, right? How important is the planning? Talk about the collaboration between various departments, how important it is. Come up with framework, come up with, let's say, collaboration best practices between the teams actually. Because real estate is almost like an orchestra, right? You will not be able to build a building unless multiple teams sort of come together. So in a nutshell, the focus is about the audience. So talk about contextual stories, right? For example, fundamentally, let's say you are a furniture brand. Let's say you're a furniture brand who's selling a B2C furniture brand. You can talk about something which is contextual, right? Which is talking about what is the best furniture for work from home. Be it a chair and a table, what else, right? And how should that whole furniture setup should look like for optimal, let's say, optimal performance of any individual. That's great because people will be searching for that and they will come across your content either through search, social, then they'll get to know about your brand, they might buy from you. There's a high possibility because once you build a thought leadership around a topic, around a set of topics which your audience cares, then that is really top of the funnel, right? That is when people either they will discover you through multiple channels like search or social. They might come and consume your content, they might come back and subscribe for a newsletter. They might buy from you one time there actually. So that's number one, right? So you're really picking your audience and really talk about stuff which is about them, it's about their problems actually. And second is about channel. You need not go and spend money to promote your blog. All you have to do is, let's say, start on LinkedIn, right? Start on LinkedIn where you can really talk about stuff. I'll just talk about an example where how people are generating millions of impressions just by organic content. The third point is being consistent, actually. Let's say you go to LinkedIn and start talking about something which is useful for your audience over a period of time. You will not get the result in the first few days, right? The first week, let's say nobody likes your post. Second week, maybe 5 people like your post, and then just speak to the 5 people and understand, what is the like, what is it that you can make changes actually, right? So using that feedback flow, be consistent and sort of continuously improve actually, right? So LinkedIn, I would say, can be number one channel, especially if you're buyer or on LinkedIn largely, right? Because other social channels like Facebook have literally started giving very, very less importance for organic, because they want brands to pay actually, right? Of course, there are Instagram and TikTok channels which is more for B2C, and then very specific brands around fashion and stuff like that. We can certainly try that. And the most important, the fourth point is about building your audience, right? So again, on LinkedIn, you can start adding people to your friends list. You can basically tell them that, hey, I am X, I'm the founder of this company, I'm so and so, and I write about so and so topics, right? If you're interested, you can follow me. And there are some automation tools as well where you can add people in bulk, but however, that's a bit of a gray area because LinkedIn doesn't allow some of the automation tools to sit on top of their platform. They might flag this, so just be careful there. Just some examples. You need not be an Elon Musk to really build a business using social media at the C-level. So Kunal, most of you would know. So for example, he has spoken about this post about Cred. This has generated about 10,000 likes. With a 1% engagement, I can say that this has got about 1 million impressions, right? Imagine getting 1 million impressions on LinkedIn. You will probably spend maybe anywhere more than 50,000 for that. So he's just done that using one post actually. You don't not even Kunal Shah, right? It can be Shashank Mehta, who is just the founder of a emerging B2C brand. This is possibly one of the first posts he actually put out. And I actually bought this multi-minute bar, which is one of the core products. This is one of the core products, right? Because I just love the fact that he's on a mission to build this brand, which is pure, which is let's say chemical free, and it is most importantly very truthful, right? Where they talk about what ingredients do they have inside the package, right? So you can use tools like Phantom Buster, where you can automate a set of things in LinkedIn, such as adding more friends. You can search on LinkedIn, find out a set of people who will possibly your followers. You can sort of use that, add that URL on Phantom Buster, and sort of you can add them in bulk, right? But again, of course, I don't recommend that doing it for a big audience, because LinkedIn might flag you actually. Here's a key metric you should constantly track is the number of followers that you constantly get, and number two is the engagement rate. If 100 followers you have, how many of them are engaging, let's say, week on week or a month on? So that's one. And then most importantly, this is a simple framework to grow your social follower base, right? So ask your friends and employees to start engaging, right? So this is how the network effect which will happen. You start with your employees, start with your friends, let them engage. So their friends will start knowing about your brand, right? And then might be some of the influencers will start engaging with your brand, and then boom, everything will explode, right? The rest of the world will start knowing you, because the whole network effect will sort of just multiply, because this influencer or people with a lot of followers also engage with the brand. Number two, right? I spoke about PR and spoke about media, right? So how do you really get into folks without spending even $1, right? So we have done that in the past. This is a true example. I will quickly take it through the steps actually. I think it all starts with doubling down on what are the topics you want to talk about, what is the industry you're in. Let's say you are again in real estate tech, talk to journalists, go and find online, right? Find online who are the top journalists who are covering real estate tech. Just make a list. You can find their email IDs typically on the website. Make that list, right? Name, email ID, what are the typical topics they cover in your industry, right? So write to them, right? Write to them. Start one-to-one messaging. Add them on LinkedIn. Write an email. Tell them that, hey, I'm this founder. We have this mission to build this company, and you are ready. You are willing to give them time about these topics, right? If the journalist wants to talk about any of the topics, it's a topic 1, 2, 3, and 4, they can reach out to you actually. At the end of the day, what journalists want is also a close network of specialists from with whom they can take comments, take quotes, also, they need input for the story, right? And then you've got to be persistent. It just doesn't work out by just reaching out to 5 people, right? All 5 of them might not respond. Reach out to 50 people. I can clearly tell you, if you reach out by clearly telling them that how can you help them, easily 5 people will come back to you actually. Right? So be persistent. It will all start with them asking you for some quote. They will just call you and say, hey, this company getting funded, I am writing a future story tomorrow. Can you give me some quotes on this specific topic? Right? So you've got to be in that fast sale so that over a period of time, when you earn their trust, when they also start knowing about you and your progress, you might be on the Forbes, or you might be on TechCrunch, or you might be on Economic Times, right? It's quite possible, and it's repeatable. It can be scaled as well. Number 3 is, I think most of you are startups, but it's also important to figure out how can you also sort of connect back to some of the causes which is relatable to your brand. I'll quickly talk about something what we did actually. So at Capillary, we were serving retail brands, and we also had a whole idea of contributing and helping, sort of allocating the money and sort of helping the community, right? So what we did is, rather than just doing a contribution to a specific nonprofit, what we did is we said we will fund the graduation program of store staff, because store staff, we found out that typically are 10 dropout or 10 plus 2 dropout, and they're all going to sort of grow up and move up the ladder, right, in the whole hierarchy. So we essentially said we will fund 50 scholars for the graduation program. And what we did is we sort of found this whole idea. What is that idea which is also in sync with the brand. And then when we went ahead with this idea and spoke to some of our customers, they were delighted because we are empowering their employees actually. We are forging right partnerships, right? You've got to sort of talk to, let's say, you are again in an industry where you want to contribute some money, enable, let's say, start a training program for some of the folks in your industry. You've got to essentially forge the right partnerships, right? We work with Retail Association of India, and they also sort of really like the idea because they also have the same mission of empowering this retail associates actually. And then what we did is, we went to the industry, we went to the stores, we spoke about what are the challenges of the store staff, right? We also connected back to how helping them, how a graduation can really be a game changer for them, and we sort of put that out. And most importantly, what we did is we didn't put any money. We didn't spend any money on this campaign, but we were able to reach out to about 25,000 decision makers with just a matter of $50. Right? $50 was for freelancers actually. So we tagged some of the CEOs with whom we were working with, tagged some of the influencers, and it was become a ripple effect. And we were able to. This video reached about 25,000 decision makers. So number 4, right? So you continuously engage with LinkedIn. How do you convert that audience back into leads, right? So let's say you put out this post. There are about 73 people who are liked it. You can use automation. You can use Phantom Buster, where you can create the information of the 73 people, right? And you can also find out those email IDs of those people, again using Phantom Buster. And you can sort of use a sales engagement platform like a SalesCare or any other tool to sort of do an outreach, right? So this is connecting the dots where you're writing something. Of course, if somebody is engaged, you can basically write to them on an email saying, hey, thank you for engaging with my post. If he or she is your potential buyer, you can write to them and then pitch your product. And the final is the email, right? Now, how do you use the cold emailing as a tactic, cold emailing as a growth hack to sort of grow your business actually? So this is the framework for writing 1:1 email, where the left-hand side, these are the different dimensions you can use to personalize your email. Let's say somebody is from a specific country, somebody is from a specific industry. You can personalize based on that, right? You can personalize based on, let's say, company sort of got a funding. You can use that information and say that, hey, congratulations on, let's say, getting the funding, right? We can help you grow because, let's say, you are hiring. We have a HR tech solution which can potentially help you actually. The whole idea is, look at various aspects, various dimensions, and sort of use the relevant dimensions to personalize. Let's say somebody has won an award, start with that as an icebreaker, and then talk about your product or use case. Yeah, this is an example where we fundamentally wrote to a large, CMO of a large hospitality brand. The first part is about icebreaker. Then we are talking about a context, right? Context about which will potentially change that industry or a business. Then we are talking about how can we help them because they are potentially, going to be into a loop of problem actually. And then finally, call to action, right? So you can use a whole bunch of email automation tools. Then you use the whole lot of personalization tools like Warmer.ai, which will give you a small introduction plus. If you give a LinkedIn profile as an input, right, it will give you a two-line summary of the profile. So you can use that as that sort of change and sort of send the email. So that's all I had. So happy to take questions at the end of the session.
Yeah. Hi. Hello.
We can hear you, Manohar.
Yeah. Hi, Ashwin. That was a great session.
Thank you.
So it's almost 10 minutes past our agenda. So Sandeep, can you take over the session now?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Hey everyone, this is Sandeep here. Been working for my whole life since college, since I graduated from college in SaaS, and I was an accidental salesperson. I never intended to be selling anything. I just wanted to build my own startup, and one of my previous boss, he said, you empathize with your customers a lot. Why don't you start selling? Right. That's how I started my journey. So today I want to talk about what are the basics, like the one-on-ones of SaaS sales, which could be different from your normal sale, right? And Sudesh Nair was one of my favorite sales leaders when it comes to SaaS. So he has started as a #1 sales rep at Nutanix, which ended up becoming an IPO company, and he ended up becoming a head of sales, and now he moved to ThoughtSpot as a CEO. And whenever we all talk about sales, like, this is a quote that he said, that sales was looked down as a second-grade career option, but that's wrong. It's massively fascinating, and this is what I really like about this quote, which I highlighted. Sales people make the business very predictable. Without sales, then the business becomes very unpredictable, and you're always on a shaky foundation, right? So I could see that there are a bunch of founders in the group here, right? So typically, if you're a founder, you're usually a generalist, right? But let's say, and then you handle like strategy, marketing, product management, sales, and customer success, and all of those verticals. But there needs to be one core skill, if I recommend all the founders get, that's like, to do sales by yourself at the very early stage of your startups, right? And So what is sales? Like, let's demystify it. And Zig Ziglar, one of the famous sales coach, said that selling is nothing but transfer of feelings. And I break that down, like sales, into 5 other aspects. It's people networking, storytelling, persuading, listening very keenly to what your customers are saying, and most importantly, understanding human psychology or human motivations in general. That's how I break down sales into at a very broad. And now, coming to SaaS, the world has completely changed in a last couple of decades. Like, I remember getting a Microsoft license back in the day when I was a 15-year-old kid, which was ripped off at a local internet center, and got I think a pirated version. But even today, if you look at what Microsoft is doing, like someone who's selling license and a CD to today where they are, I just signed up for their MS Office recently for my personal use, and they are now charging you on usage basis. So this is a big shift, right? That's what the whole SaaS age is all about. So here's a quick example. Like, there are 3 things that shifted massively, which we are all experiencing on a daily basis. Like distribution, it's no more on-prem CD, it's all on the cloud. In sales and marketing, it's no more like pushing someone or knocking your doors. It's more about, hey, you come to us and we assist you to find solutions for your problems. And lastly, billing. It's not like a one-time lifetime license. It's more about your usage base. So today, if I want to just stop using my MS Office, I could just hit cancel. That's it. I don't pay for it anymore. At the same time, I don't have access for it. It's just a good win-win situation for both the companies and also the users, right? To just build on that extension, we all might be aware of this left graphic there, right? Where we don't want to be sold to. Like, we just hate when someone sells something or pushes something to us, right? So that is where, again, SaaS is completely different. It's about empowering assisted buying. So what's assisted buying? Like, let's break down this whole graphic here. So you have a great website. Think of it as like your what Arvind has mentioned with your marketing or with your growth hacks. You're getting people to your website, and then you're displaying all your products. Of course, your product needs to be awesome, and that is where while the stranger or a user is engaging, based on the engagement levels and the interest and seeing the customer journey, sales will step in and say, hey, how can I help you? Right. So that is what assisted buying is all about. Right. We all have seen this, movie and this final climax scene. So the reason why I brought that up is especially in SaaS sales that I learned so far. It's a skill of one-to-one persuasion, converting a stranger to a customer by asking questions. That's like really not really pitching what you have. It's about, hey, why are you here today? How can I help you? What challenges are you facing? What would it happen if you don't solve this challenge? What would it happen if you don't solve this challenge today? Right. So it's about asking a web of questions and eventually gaining their trust and converting them as customers. That's how I define sales. And to give you a quick distinction on, usually we all have that marketing and sales are the same, but I want to just break it down into 2 different aspects. So when marketing works really well, sales pipeline is called a waiting list. And that's what happens with consumer brands like Apple, where even before they open their sales counters for launch of any new product, people are all waiting outside, right? And when product design lacks any emotion, just like what Zig Ziglar has mentioned, it's the skill of the salesperson, which or it's the talent of the salesperson needs to be completely deployed there to evoke an emotion and close the sale. It's again transfer of feelings. It's building the confidence, right? So here are a couple more ways on how I look at sales, because I mean, we all looked at DiCaprio, we all looked at Jerry Maguire, and all of these characters in different movies, and Rocket Singh. It all looks like sales is super flashy. It's there's a lot of like charm, etc. But I feel there are different ways to look at sales, which helped me because, like I mentioned, I was an accidental salesperson. It's real-time collaborative problem solving. Like you and the customer collaborating in real time and solving a problem for the customer. That's what sales is all about. And SaaS sales is 70% science and 30% art. And the good news is we all can learn it with enough practice. Right. Now, what's very important when you look at sales is to look at something called a go-to-market. Like, how do you approach, right? So here is my framework, which was, again, this is a framework that's put up by a VC called 9-Point VC, and I've just created different spin to it. But if you look at your SaaS business and if you're thinking about, hey, how do I build $100 million annual recurring revenue business, then here is a framework to think about it. Now, the way to think about it is let's look at only probably like a $10 product, like you're selling a scooter. Probably you might need 10 million customers, right, to get to 100 million. If you're selling $100 product, then you might need 1 million customers, right? And then if you're selling a $1,000 product, you might need 100,000 customers. If you're selling a $10,000 product, you might need 10,000 customers. And if you're selling $100,000 product, you might need just 1,000 customers. So it's very important for you to understand this math and this framework when you're building a company or when you're thinking about it, like, how do I build this big business and where do I stand in this positioning? And I want to also bring in a very clear distinction here. So if you are selling a product which is less than $100 or below, sales doesn't work there. It's all product and marketing or growth hacking, as Ashwin has mentioned. The reason for that is sales becomes expensive and cost center for products of that nature. Only once your ticket sizes go for like $1,000 or above, that is when deploying salespeople would even make sense, right? So these are the if you're building a product with these ticket sizes, and that is when you need to look at sales, right? And the other very important implication when you're thinking about sales or SaaS sales for your product is geography. Where do you want to do? Right. So let me just go back here. So usually the people who are buying this kind of tickets, they will be even enterprises or mostly SMBs. So that is where the distinction like SMB and enterprise and also geography would also come in. Where are you selling it? Are you selling to Europe, US, SMB, or are you selling to US, Europe, SMB or enterprise? Or are you selling to India, SMB or enterprise? It's a very different ball game. The motion is different because the ticket sizes are different, right? So here is where I would put some logos here based on some of the businesses in India, which are SaaS businesses that are running, right? So like Social Pilot is one of the SMB products which is selling to global market, and their ticket size at $100 or $10, right? So similarly, it's very rare to crack an SMB market in India. And InstaMojo was able to do it, and I couldn't think of any other company doing that. So that's why I could only put on one logo here. It's very tough, right? And then we have Indian enterprises like AppNox, RippleHire, etc. And then similarly, we have other enterprise companies like Interview Mocha, which is selling at $100,000 or above, and Almabase, which is selling at $50,000 or above, right? So these are all selling to global markets. And what would also mean is then if you are in this quadrant or typically in this quadrant, so is it inbound or outbound? So there's something called whether are you going into the market and selling, or are you attracting your right users through your marketing tactics and channels? So that's where the difference is also. Usually when you're going behind enterprises, inbound works very less and it's all outbound. So let's look at how that also works, right? What's the split? Like I mentioned, this is super hard. InstaMojo somehow broke into it. But if you're looking at, like SMB, 90% is marketing, 10% is sales. And let's say you're looking at global market enterprise, 20% is marketing, 50% is outbound calling. Sometimes for bigger accounts like $1 million or so, you need feet on street sales, right? Like you need to meet them in person, you need to meet them for lunch, etc. If you're looking at India, then it's 20% marketing, 80% field sales. I haven't yet found a very good, company which is not doing field sales for enterprise in India, right? So here is how the motions would look: inbound versus outbound, right? And typically, the funnel, the way it would look is, you get leads, the leads become suspects, and the more they engage with you, they become prospects, and then you start engaging, and you become a customer. Right, so that's how the funnel would look, and this is the traditional B2B funnel. Like if you're thinking about it, this is called top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. But in SaaS, the biggest distinction is, yes, you have the top of the funnel where you're getting leads through marketing or you're outbound. Then you have the middle of the funnel where you're deeply engaging this customer either through POC or a free trial, etc. Then the bottom of the funnel is you close this deal and then you move on. But what's very important is to make your customers as fans. That is where you need to also have like customer success, which is very important. That's where the B2B SaaS funnel is different, where you onboard them well, you retain, and you expand. And if you look at all the successful SaaS companies, I think they have close to 50% of their revenue through expansion from their existing customers. As I mentioned, like SaaS is all about paying through usage. So the more you expand the usage, the more the revenue from those existing customers. Right. Some terminology on how you could think about these top of the funnel, middle of the funnel. So typically top of the funnel are called marketing qualified leads. The middle of the funnel are called sales qualified leads, which is where you're putting your salesperson and deeply engaging them. And the last ones are called like they're going into your very hot deals and you just convince them and close them. Right. All right. And another way to also look at this and where you fit in terms of, whether it's outbound or inbound, right? So this is predominantly outbound, where, you do the outreach as an SDR or as a demand gen person, then as a salesperson, you qualify, then you use your website like marketing, brand building, case studies, etc., to coach them and finally close it. This is the outbound motion. So you be very proactive in this. And in the inbound motion, you need to have a great marketing team where they attract the right set of leads to your website, and you have great website. So they engage with it. And based on the engagement, that is when you catch and you send it to your sales team, or you yourself, if you're a sales founder, you do that, and then you coach and close. So that's the biggest difference. And that's about it. Happy to take on any questions at the end of the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. Yeah, we are actually time bound. We have a total of 35 minutes for now. So, yeah, Siddharth, can you take over the session now? Yeah, hi.
Sure. Hi. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yeah, very clear. Good.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining in. My name is Siddharth Aluwalia, and in my life, I have always been an entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey. Just a second, I think there's some, yeah. I started my entrepreneurial journey way back in 2012. I built a SaaS company called Adodoc, which was a SaaS solution for pediatricians, child specialists. And I had two co-founders, both from IIT Guwahati, computer science. One worked in Microsoft before, one worked in Oracle. And I was the CEO and head of sales for the company. My two co-founders were chief of product and chief technology officer. By 2015, we had bootstrapped the company to hundreds of paying institutions in India, pediatric hospitals / clinics. And then we raised funding from Rajul Garg, who is founder of Leo Capital. Rajul is founder of two unicorns, Global Logic and Pine Labs. And after raising that funding, we launched the patient side of the app where mothers could access the data of their kids sitting on the CRM. So we had 500,000 patient data sitting on a CRM. By 2017, we had 1 million active mothers on our platform per month. And in 2017, we got various, like 4 acquisition offers. We sold the company to Shiros. I joined Shiros as co-founder and head of business. 1 year after the acquisition, I started a podcast called 100x Entrepreneur with my wife, Nancy Mishra. Our goal was to grow 100x of ourselves before we start our next venture. And through this podcast, I interacted with some of the best founders, like unicorns, decacorn founders in the ecosystem, and some of the best VCs across India and US. In 2019, I joined a VC firm in Bangalore called Prime Venture Partners. And after some time, Amazon Web Services came calling, and I joined them as head of startup ecosystem for South India. And I lead the SaaS practice there. In 2019, I started a fund called 100x Entrepreneur Fund. Today, we have investments in more than 31 SaaS companies, and we have seen several time journeys from 0 to 10 million ARR. And that's what I'm going to share today, my observations across. So my partner in the fund is Kshitij Jain. He's founder of a SaaS company called Jovio. And our goal as a fund is to partner with second-time founders who have built and sold SaaS companies before. Just to give you a background of the fund, right? My fund won last year, invested in 17 SaaS companies. And by 2031, the 100x Entrepreneur Fund would have made 300 SaaS investments, which should include 30 unicorns, 5 IPOs, and 20 companies clocking more than 100 million ARR. Currently, we are investing out of a $10 million fund, and we will be investing in 30 SaaS companies. So building 1 mil ARR, and you might guess, why is this guy qualified even to speak on this topic? So myself, I build a SaaS company, and I help our portfolio companies reach 10 mil ARR. Some of these companies include, you see, right? They have achieved significant ARR today. Many of them are 100 member plus companies, right? And some of these companies are market leaders, like Airmeet, Plum Insurance, Plum Health Benefits. So building 1 mil ARR. So as a SaaS founder, when you start, right? So the next 10 minutes is a summary of all the things which I did right, and summary of all the things which I did wrong, which I'm going to mention you about, right? So when you start a SaaS company, right, I encourage founders to start with a very niche problem rather than going horizontal. And as you start, right, there's a saying in SaaS that for the first 10 customers, you don't build a product. You sell them a vision, you onboard them. And how do you onboard them? You get them as design partners. And it's a concept in US which many Indian SaaS companies are also adopting to, of design partners. Typically, if you are looking at on an average, a SaaS company where they're selling a solution for $30,000 for an annual contract value, in the first year, you build a product, build a team of 4 to 5 members, which may include 2 to 3 co-founders, work with the 10 design partners. Right? And typically the first 10 sales design partners is in the second year, your 20 new customer sales have to be founder-led sales. So once you have achieved, around 30 customers, then I would encourage you to hire a head of sales. So what does your typical product market fit look like in the first 24 months? So take the first year in your SaaS journey, on building the right product, identifying the right problem, building the right product, and achieving, getting those 10 design partners, which are your customers. And in the second year, scale with these set of design partners to 20 new more customers. So on an average, if you're selling, $30,000 of ACV, and with these set of 30 customers, you will close your first 1 million ARR in the first 24 months. Now comes the hard part. So many SaaS companies are able to scale from 0 to 1 mil ARR, but 1 to 10 journey is the hardest in a SaaS company's journey, because here, a founder's hustle will stop working for him. Now it has to be led by processes. So what most founders in India, uh, you know, make the mistake of, including the same mistake which I did. We don't focus on marketing. We keep on focusing on sales. We keep on, but what marketing does is it helps you build top of the funnel. Uh, and what you should do is, once you hit a 1 mil ARR, identify the key channels. Experiment with at least 3 channels, which can be events, which can be digital ads, which can be a podcast which you run for your own SaaS company, and a few others. uh, See which channel is working out for you, and how you can measure is, whenever you are let's say today event is happening and there are 80 people will join today. So for example, if NSRCL was a SaaS company, so these all 80 people who joined today would be marketing qualified leads. And if an inside salesperson have to call all the 80 people who joined today, then it would translate to whoever showed interest. It would qualify into a sales qualified lead, whoever showed interest. And your inside sales rep would mark an opportunity across each of the lead. So what will happen is, they'll say that this lead is a $30,000 of annual recurring revenue opportunity. This is a $10,000 of annual recurring revenue opportunity, or this is a $100,000 of annual recurring revenue opportunity. Once this sales qualified leads are in your system, right, through your marketing channels, right, in your third year, try to build a pipeline of $10 million per year of sales qualified lead. And at that point in time, right, this has to be all done by the founding team. Hire your VP marketing to optimize your marketing spend and take it in the right direction, right? So your goal should be in the third year to close around 3 mil ARR from this $10 million of sales qualified lead, and rinse and repeat in year 4 and year 5. This looks simple, right? But this is a summary of my observations across, having watched hundreds of SaaS companies, invested in 31 companies, uh, you know, key on achieving a 10 mil ARR SaaS company. And a 10 mil ARR SaaS company can be valued, anything, in a bear market from $100 million to even $500 million today. So as a SaaS founder, once you have hit this milestone, you can be fairly sure that now the company is safe. And as I described to you, there's a process which you have to go about achieving this. Would like to take any questions now, before I share a few more insights.
Yeah, please use the Q&A window to post your questions.
So any SaaS founder here would like to dive deep in any of the aspects that I shared today? Sure. So I'll now cover the last part of my presentation, uh, which is, okay, which channel would is it good idea to outsource marketing? What you can have, you can't outsource marketing. You have to build this function in-house. What you can do is build channel partnerships with partner agencies, with GSI partners, which can help you build MQLs, marketing qualified leads, which can help you build your pipeline for marketing qualified leads. So you can have various partners who can contribute to it, but it has to be a single function within your own company, uh, which has to do it, right? Which channel? The second question is, which channel would perform better for SaaS? Is it direct sales or indirect sales? So let's take this, to two parts, right? One is inbound and the other is outbound sales, right? Inbound is people landing on your website or your any channel and putting up a lead, right? And outbound sales is you directly reaching out to you. So for the first 1 million ARR, it has to be outbound sales. And once you achieve that, then you focus on uh, segmenting your customers, and ideally you should start with an ideal customer profile, that what is the kind of uh, uh, the segment that your customer sits in, how much employee strength the customer ideal customer profile has, uh, and then diving deep into, right, are they having the same set of problems, that what make your marketing and product scalable. What about products for of $100 and less in India? Then they definitely very heavily rely on only marketing. If you put a feet on the street or any sales team for selling $100 products, you wouldn't be able to recover the cost of your sales. The next question is, what is the best way to find a sales co-founder for SaaS software, in your opinion? In my opinion, the CEO of the company has to be the sales person for the first $1 million in ARR, and you have to, if you think that you are a tech person and you are not the CEO material or the sales head to reach that kind of you would have to build out an initial version of a product, an MVP, and then talk to various sales head in SaaS companies to join you as CEO. And you need to have a very compelling vision and a story. Why should a great salesperson who should leave a rocket ship and join you? Next question is, we are in blockchain space with supply chain tracking. Quite often we get across inquiries across verticals. Due to low tech penetration, we can't avoid any customer. How do we keep focusing on one single vertical? So this question would need more context, in my opinion. You would need to tell me, what is your current ARR, how many current set of customers you have, what is the segmentation across current set of customers according to the industries, and then maybe you can then nail down to the top 3 industries. You can't attack 10 industries at the same time, right? So I can take this question 101 offline. The next question is there any possibility of getting angel fund for POD? I don't understand what is POD. Is there a possibility of getting any angel fund for POD, which is very unique and interesting technically? MVP is ready for marketing, for which need fund. Sorry for asking a relevant question, but since investor is also there, so asking this question, I would highly encourage to at least get few set of customers before you go ask for funding. I think people who are able to raise funding on a napkin, as this popular, or on a slide deck, are mostly second time founders who have built and sold companies before, and are next time they have a playbook already developed in their previous life as a founder. So yeah, hopefully I was able to answer all your questions. I think we are just on time. Yeah, so we'll open the forum. Sandeep and Ashwin, would you like to address any of these questions? You can switch on your videos, please, if possible.
Yep, totally. Let me look at it. What's the typical deal closing time for a big ticket product? It varies from the size of the product and also the market. But let me take a quick example. Let's say you're selling an analytics product, and if it's around $30,000 or so, it might take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. And if you have previous case studies, a very good marketing story, and as your company is growing and you are in that phase of 5 million to 10 million, probably you can get it down to 2 to 3 months, but that's the average. How important it is to get our SaaS listed on marketplaces? What are popular marketplaces? Again, it depends on what product you're selling. Let's say if I'm selling a security product, let's say I'm selling a cloud security product, then I would definitely go and list in marketplaces like AWS, GCP, Azure, because that just builds trust to people who are already buying one of these cloud services. And that's how I would think about it.
Are you there, Sandeep? Hello.
Yeah.
Your video is
Just to add to Sandeep's point, right? So one is the transaction marketplace, others are more customer review focused marketplace, right? Where people would post the reviews. While you all know that G2 and others are there. So typically for SMB mid-market focused companies, these review marketplaces are a great place to also get, sort of, inbound traffic and closer. Even for enterprise companies, right? Maybe you can have to shift the gates from G2 to potentially Gartner Peer Insights, right, where a lot more in enterprise buyers are there on possibly looking at Gartner Peer Insights versus G2. I'm not saying they don't go to G2, but you can sort of, if you need to do a prioritization, maybe you can pick Gartner Peer Insights as G2 for enterprise segment.
There's another interesting question. Can you elaborate on design partner concept? Currently, I am working on a product company where they're looking for design partners. So the way to think about it is, these are, who could be a potential partner, right? Like think of design partners as someone who can help you or collaborate with you to build out your product as well. That doesn't mean that they dictate everything. Like you have a certain thesis and you have a certain point of view, build a certain MVP with the point of view, and you have a roadmap. Now you need to find this design partner, and typically it could be a company which is fast growing, where there is one person who's doing a lot of heavy lifting or things of that nature, and that person is willing to spend time with you at least on a bi-weekly basis, at least half an hour to 1 hour, giving like real candid feedback on usage, etc. So you need to pick those kind of companies and those kind of people and give them a massive discount to use your product, because as much as you're delivering value, they're also delivering value to you. And at the very early stage, as Siddharth has mentioned, it's important to get logos, and that's where design partner could help. And so you partner with this company for a year or so and iterate your product in a way that now you could go mass market. Now you could go from that 1 million to the 10 million stage where you're approaching more number of customers. I hope that was helpful, but Siddhartha, if you have any more thoughts, please do.
Hey Sandeep, just would like to add that identify your first 10 design partners very carefully. They'll shape your product, right? So don't go about making anybody who agrees to be a design partner the design partner. It's like they are giving you 10x more value than the revenue because they are helping you shape the right product. So as a founder, you have to put your foot down. What problems you want to solve and what you don't want to solve. So you can't solve all your problems of a design partner. So be very clear that you are focusing on a extreme niche when you're going out and building, the first 10 design partners. Yeah.
I'll take the next one around how do you approach a market which is niche, right, such as cybersecurity. So I would consider approaching a market would be growth, right? Essentially grow, getting brand visibility and finally growth. Even if the market is niche, if you go and figure out on AdWords tool, let's say the number of keyword searches for that specific industry and the topic and the product line is a lot, let's say in 1,000, then you should spend a lot more time building the whole inbound model, right, which Sandeep mentioned, which is content-led SEO, communities, go and sort of list on C2, so on and so forth. Build a great product which can be self-serve, so on and so forth. Actually, that's like the inbound model, which might, if it's relevant for you. And especially when it is niche, you might not be able to find a lot of keyword searches, etc., which means that there's no digital demand. Then ideally you should go outbound, right? You should, in the first phase is about finding the 10, 20 design partners. Really ideal customer profile, right? What are the specific industries and sort of revenue filter you can put on top of market, which will give you ideal set of customers you can go after. First phase is the thing going after the 10, 20 design partners, and then largely using that to build content and mostly outbound, right? Because people are not really searching, they're not really looking out for that product, let's say in the search engine. So you might go with the cold call, cold email outreach, but do very methodically. I think that's the role.
Yeah, can I know the next question? I'm just typing. Hello. What's the next question? Can I know? Hello.
Is it a good idea to hire sales team based on commissions? That's one. And then I also see, how do I reach out to overseas market for enterprise level solutions on InsurTech space? We create insurance solutions for large brokers and banks and insurance companies with 100K USD ticket. These are the next two questions.
Okay. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, I would take the sales team question. It is a good idea and it is a default idea. Like typically it's an industry standard. It's either 50-50 or 60-40, where 50 is fixed and the rest 50 are commissions, or 60 is fixed and the rest 40 are commissions. So it's just an industry standard. And then I can tell you that salespeople are motivated by commissions more than anything else in their lives. So that's a fair game. That's totally a fair game. And a good salesperson would ask for more uncapped commissions so that they're confident of their skills and that they're able to close deals, and then they keep getting more money.
Just would like to add to it that you need to keep a quota for every salesperson at the start of the year, and that quota needs to be distributed fairly amongst the salespeople. So usually, as Sandeep described, it can be 60-40 or 70-30, right? 60% fixed quota and 40% variable. And usually, the variable can be capped at 4x or 5x of the size of the variable. Let's say if they achieve 4x or 5x in terms of also sales commission is just not only based on sales, but it's also on the size of the contract and on the tenure of the contract. If a salesperson is closing a company for 1 year, you give him X, but he closes the same company for a period of 3 years, you give him 3.5x, because he's not only building getting you revenue for 3 years, he's getting predictability into your revenue pipeline. Manohar, yeah, we can go into the next question.
Okay, let me read the questions now. Yeah, this question is from Srikant Shetty. Can you elaborate on design partner concept?
I think we already spoke on it quite in details.
Okay, and what is the typical customer acquisition percentage? Have you spoken it? What is the typical customer acquisition percentage of a SaaS product? Hello.
Yes, I couldn't understand. So maybe Ashwin or Sandeep can take this question.
Yeah. I couldn't understand the question. That's right.
Okay, we'll leave this question. Sorry, Simi, we can't answer this question. So next question is from Akram Khan. How do you approach a market which is a niche market such as cybersecurity? Yeah, it's answered. Okay, thank you. And next question is from Vijayendra Singh. How do we shift from B2B enterprise sales and launching a direct B2C SaaS business? Some checklist for launching SaaS. So I don't understand this question. Can anyone answer?
I haven't run a B2C SaaS ever, so I don't know.
Siddharth, do you want to answer?
Yeah, see, B2C SaaS is a very different ballgame. I think this webinar today is dedicated to B2B SaaS, but just to throw out light on it, B2C SaaS company, you can think of any company which is charging you subscription fees. Even Netflix is, then you can put in a category of B2C SaaS company. So traditionally, the way to acquire is, go heavy on marketing on Facebook, Google Ads, and build your organic channels on the content side, so that there's a huge word of mouth on your content, and people are also building community on that, right? The community on Discords, Slack work well.
Okay. And next question is from Akram Khan. How would you approach a market which is a
No,
niche market?
it's a repeat.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's a repeat.
Okay. And next question is from Anshul Gupta. How do I reach out to overseas market of for enterprise level solutions on InsurTech space? We create insurance solutions for large brokers, banks, and insurance companies with a 10K USD ticket. Yes, Amit, how do you like to answer this?
So just looking at the ticket size, it's a pure outbound motion. There are a couple of ways. One, you can visit the conferences where all these insurance brokers, etc., would come in, present yourself there, have conversations, sponsor some events, right? That's one. Because this is a very, like, there are some industries which are way behind in adopting any new technology, and the buyer persona there also have a mindset of purchasing in the old way, right? Maybe, I don't know, like, for example, when we started Alma Base, there's no category called alumni management software. So the number of Google searches are probably less than 500 a month. So online marketing is just gone completely. So we need to create a new category. We approach G2 Crowd. They created a new category. They started listing all of us, right? So I mean, when you are going into some of the legacy industries like education, health tech, and insurance tech, conferences, trusted marketplaces like G2 Crowd or Gartner. Again, these are very expensive marketplaces, but you need to just balance it out with your budgeting. And outbound with cold calling and cold emailing. And people usually also do partnerships, but I don't recommend partnerships until you hit a certain scale, because the partners don't value your brand and they can't sell your brand. If you are not able to sell your brand, a partner can definitely not sell your brand, right? So these are some avenues that I could think of on how you could go about it.
Next question is from Konda Reddy. We help small businesses build their first online store, not at scale of Shopify, but completely no code. Which marketing approach is better? What marketing approach is better? So, Siddharth, do you want to answer? Or Ashwin, you can also join.
I think Ashwin is the marketing guru here.
Really, but I can tell you, because in the past company we used to help brands to set up their online store. The Shopify is better. Shopify is an ecosystem, but if you don't even want to start with Shopify, something further down, I'm not aware of no code tools. I mean, best way to do is possibly start with WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp commands, and then get, let's say, a few hundred repeat orders a month. That's what, one of my friends, what he does is he sells Ayurvedic products, not just healthcare Ayurveda, but also, oils and stuff like that, right? So I'm a regular customer, so I booked it to WhatsApp actually. So start with that if you don't want to get into Shopify, right? But I would suggest something like a Shopify, because we can put a structure around the entire transaction auto management, right? How many people came, how many ordered. It will also be easy for people to do the ordering, in the payment processing, all of that. So I would definitely recommend going with a online storefront solution like a Shopify. There are a whole bunch of open source solutions available, like WP Engine. You try that as well.
And I hope you answer this question. And next question is from Vijender Singh. What is the ideal percentage of percentage to share with sales consultant. 30K $1,000 to 100K $1,000 deal size.
So the right way to think on it is quota based, not on per deal basis. So for example, if your sales consultant has a $1 million quota, you or a sales engineer has the sales account executive has a $1 million quota, you keep 60% fixed and 40% variable to give it to him. Just if you're paying them salary of, in best cases of $100,000 a year, and if he is able to achieve $2 million, you pay him a net salary of 140,000. So with sales consultant, I'm not sure how you do it. If you are the sales consultant are external, so are you paying them per lead basis, closure basis, right? There are various models available. On an average, companies would share anywhere between 5 to 10% of the revenue. But I would encourage, before selling through sales consultant, build your internal sales machinery. Your sales consultant should only be doing the job of accelerating your sales, not building the sales engine for you.
Next question is from Srikanth Shetty. Is it necessary to incorporate a new company to sell in US market?
I would say yes. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Siddhartha.
No worries, please, Sandeep. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes. It's just that, if you're a US incorporated company, the legal protection and the trust that's developed, the way it's perceived by the customers in the US is completely different. It just makes your life easy on procurement, on legal, and all of these procedures when the customers are buying and signing contracts with you. Siddhartha, do you have more thoughts to add there?
Yeah, so there are two ways to build a US company. You build a US parent and build the Indian company as subsidiary, or you build the Indian parent and build the US company as subsidiary. But definitely, as Sandeep shared, you need to have a US based company if you want to scale your sales in US. Well, we can take next question, Manohar.
And next question is from Teresa. Sorry?
So it could be we are at 4:30, so I believe it could be the last question.
Yeah, it's the last question. Yeah, it's from Teresa. When you're on a B2B sales platform for SCG and board governance and the decision makers are the C-suites only, what would be your best approach and what would be your closure time lead? Yeah, Sandeep, you chose to answer this question. Yeah, Siddharth.
Siddharth can go ahead.
No, Sandeep, please go ahead.
I mean, any C-suite sales are very hard. Let me put that disclaimer, right? Like for example, on average, there's when I did some outbound and also some reading on reports, on average, let's say if you're selling, if you're trying to reach out to a C-suite person, you would have a gatekeeper. You need to cross the gatekeeper, and even getting a time on their calendar is very difficult, right? So the best approach of meeting C-suite people that I have figured out is conferences. Really, conferences, like sponsor a conference, then that conference, agency or whoever the host is will give you a certain time, etc., to meet this C-suite level people, and that is how you can get face time with them. It's very important to get face time with C-suite people. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Now, when I also refer to this conference-based approach, it depends on the scale of the company. Let's say if I'm a C-suite in 20-member team or 100-member team, you don't need to meet me. I would jump on a Zoom call and I would talk to you and we can close a deal on Zoom. But if you're a C-suite of like 1,000, 1,500 or anything about that, it's pure enterprise, hard grind sales where you need to have that face time with them, or whether it's a CFO, CXO, CEO, anyone, right? So that according to me has worked. It's a very personal opinion, but yeah, there could be many other approaches as well. And it's 6 to 9 months. It's very hard. Like, for example, someone has asked about cybersecurity. So CISOs, on average, they take at least 6 months to respond to your first email, to your messaging. That's a study by a lot of email tooling companies, that they said CISOs take a minimum of 6 months to respond, because they get bombarded on a daily basis. They get at least 150 emails from different companies and for competitors for different aspects.
Yes, Siddharth, would you like to add something?
See, board governance is a very hard software to sell, and board governance requires typically large enterprises. So I would say it's a very difficult problem. So your sales team needs to be extremely top heavy with people who have sold to enterprises and C-suite before you decide to scale it. The best approach is outbound only. There is no inbound. Inbound is difficult. Right? The approach would be to build a dedicated emailer list and build your content marketing game. But finally, that will help you just build a brand on the sales motion is outbound with a very heavy enterprise sales team.
Yeah, I think we are done with the questions. So thank you so much, Siddharth, Ashwin, and Sandeep, for sharing your wonderful experience to help our sales startup community. And thank you all the participants for joining the session. I hope this session is helpful for gaining knowledge about SaaS sales. And if you can find this session on NSR Sale YouTube channel. So after uploading, I will let all the participants and the panelists know that it's online, and we'll provide the link there. And I like to conclude this session and be safe, stay home and get vaccinated, and take care of yourself and your family members. And thank you everyone, and have a great day. Hello.
Thank you, Manohar.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Manohar. Thank you everyone for joining.
Wishing everyone the best.
Bye.